Hello there and welcome to my channel Pixelology. My name is Sophia and the topics I'll talk about don't always necessitate you being or wanting to be a professional photographer. I want to explain photography and the photography theory to everyone who is interested, no matter if you are in front of the camera, someone who just dabbles in photography, or already has experience. This video is part 1 of a two-part series about typical framing mistakes in people photography and how to avoid them. It is one of the areas that separates the good photographer from the one who doesn't want to educate himself on the subject of photography. If you want to know what other points distinguish the experienced photographer from a hobbyist, watch this video here. The right framing and composition lies, as we all know, in the eye of the beholder. I can remember more than one instance when I sat down with a client and was so sure that they would love a certain image, only for them to dismiss it for one which I didn't think would strike their fancy. But still, it is also subject to certain rules. I'm sure you remember an image you thought was beautiful, but where something just bothered you. You just couldn't put your finger on what was wrong with it. These, let's call them mistakes, are often responsible for a picture not appealing to us. Let's have a look at some such mistakes. First up, the head without the human. If you absolutely need to see the entire head of a model on the picture to show a particularly great hairstyle or an extravagant hat, then I would suggest you take a picture in a slightly wider frame. It's always best to have some of the shoulder area still visible, as you can see here. If the hairstyle is not super important, then you can even crop the picture at the hairline. An absolute no-no is letting the head end just below the chin. As you can see, the person looks like a lifeless head doll you would practice hairstyles on. The next point I want to mention is the amputated hand. It is also not a good idea to choose a frame that won't show the hand after the joint. This can either happen while cropping the image in post-production or already during the shoot. So please always consider the frame of your image beforehand, so you can brief your model on where to best put their hands. In general, it looks suspicious when a hand disappears under the table. Not only does it not look aesthetically pleasing, but it also quickly looks like the person is hiding something. If your model has her hand on her hip, make sure your crop either shows the entire arm, including the hand, or doesn't show the hand at all. Not showing part of the hand just doesn't look pleasant. I always liken it to when you can still recognize a word when letters in the middle are missing, but it gets more difficult when letters at the end aren't where they are supposed to be. The human eye likes full shapes. That's why we recognize faces in branches or mountain landscapes. Our mind automatically fills in gaps or tries to assign shapes. Sudden interruptions are therefore not very pleasant for us to look at in the long run. Before we continue, if you like my content, please consider subscribing to my channel and leaving a like. It doesn't cost you a thing, but helps me tremendously with the YouTube algorithm. I really appreciate you taking the time. Now back to the video. The third point I call the Snow White syndrome. What I regularly see in pictures are missing feet. In Snow White's case, the evil sisters lose parts of their feet to try and fit into the dancing shoe, while unexperienced photographers are often losing entire body parts. The reason is that they often concentrate so much on the face or the expression of the person they photograph that they completely forget that there are other body parts visible on a photo as well. Feet in particular are a recurring problem not only with aspiring photographers but also with models. They also often forget to model from head to toe. If you can't fit a person completely into the frame, choose one that ends above the knee or in the middle of the shin. Thank you for watching part 1 of this 2-part series about framing. Next time I'm going to talk about what to look out for to avoid yawning emptiness in your images, as well as perspective. Everything I've talked about or am going to be talking about in the future, I either learned in training, from the experience of other people or colleagues, or simply doing my research. If you don't agree with my point of view, please feel free to do your own research on the matter concerned. Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate you taking the time. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Until then, stay safe. Bye!